Welcome to All Things Mental,
a podcast that honors the messy, beautiful, nonlinear journey of healing. Because healing isn't about fixing what's broken.
It's about discovering what you need in this moment and learning to trust yourself along the way.
Here, we share stories, resources, and reminders that you're never alone on your path.
So take a breath, lean in, and remember,
you are not broken.
You're just becoming a more beautiful version of your higher self. We're your co-hosts, Michelle
and Leanna,
here to remind you that
you're never alone
on your healing journey.
Welcome to this episode of All Things Mental. We're talking all things spirituality in this episode, which is, in short definition, our relationship with a power that's greater than ourselves.
Yeah.
Nothing too fancy there. We both have been on a spiritual path through our healing journeys, though full disclosure or disclaimer that we are not saying that you need to be on a spiritual path through your healing journey. That's just how it's been for both of us. So stay tuned to listen to our experience with spirituality as we know it and as we continue to evolve through it.
That was beautiful. I loved the way you worded that so much.
Yeah,
because for me, when I started my healing journey, I didn't expect to find spirituality. I was raised Catholic, so I went to Catholic church literally every Sunday for years, and I'm eternally grateful for that time because I discovered that I can sing. Like, that's when I did choir. I used to be the person in the front that would lead singing for the church and all of that. I used to do it on Sundays for a certain mass in my church. And I loved it. But then when I was 16, I kind of started questioning things when my grandma passed away and was taken really, really early. And I felt like God didn't give me enough time with her. And I still believe in God. I just don't I refer to it as the universe. And I think that's basically my opinion when it comes to religion and spirituality is just basically it's what you call it. I have a friend that refers to God as Allah. I have a friend that refers to God as God. And I refer to it as the universe. It's just the word and your interpretation of it, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I too was raised Catholic and went through my sacrament of Holy Communion and then the confirmation and then there was this whole uproar when I didn't want to get the Holy Sacrament of marriage in a church setting.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to deal with and unpack, but I didn't want to because mainly I didn't want to put my husband through the pre-Cana situation or whatever the Catholics call it, that whole pre-marriage thing, and also getting him to convert into Catholicism in order to be married in a Catholic church, all these things. My parents were very forceful with that ideal, on me and him. And I was but if I don't want that, then why would I make him do it to appease you? You're not in my life. Well, they're in my life, but you're not in my day to day. I'm not I don't report to you.
No, that makes totally complete sense. Because I remember even back when I was religious, I never pictured getting married in a church. And I always wanted to get married in a field with the leaves changing different colors. Because I'm, like I said, I'm a basic fall person. And my parents, we couldn't see eye to eye back when I was just picturing what my wedding would be like, and then we couldn't see eye to eye when it actually came down to it. I remember I wanted to get married at this place that was by my parents, so we went and checked everything out and all of that, and my parents were vetoing everything, and me and my partner had a date already picked out. We wanted to get married on October 22nd of 2022, and we did. Because 22 is a huge number in my family. My grandparents met, got married, got engaged on 22nd. My grandma passed away on a 22nd. My grandpa passed away on their wedding anniversary. So 22 is huge for me. So when me and my husband got together and before we even like knew we were going to get married, my brother had told me I couldn't get married in October because he got married in October. And I remember talking to my cousin about this, and she was like, so you can't get married in September either because I got married in September. I'm like, that's pretty much what he's saying, yes. And she's like, that's the silliest thing I've ever heard of. And I remember telling my partner this and him being like, so if we ever get married, we're going to get married in October, right? It's like, yes, exactly. And that was before we were even dropping like the L word. But like, I remember for me questioning it when I was 16, going to school in Kentucky where I refound my faith, then leaving my situationship and kind of like going through like trying different churches and all of that because I no longer consider myself Catholic. And then I wound up going to a church where I loved it until I went up and asked them if they could help me pray for something. And I don't know how many churches like speak in tongues, but I had never I had heard of tongues before, but like from like the movie Cry Baby with Johnny Depp. Yeah, like not like real. And I remember like them like talking in tongues, and they were like talking tongues. Like the Holy Spirit is all over you. And I remember saying to a lady, I feel the Holy Spirit, but I don't know how to speak in tongues. And they were like forcing me to do it to the point that I just said, no, thank you, and left. And I recently tried to go back by watching online through a church that I loved when I went to school in Kentucky. And then like, I'm at a point now in my life where I need my ideals to be aligned with the ideals of, the church. So I went on their website and I looked it up, and I agree with some of it, but I didn't agree with some of it. And that was honestly like a beautiful breaking point for me, because I remember talking to my friend that I do my grateful list with, and she was like, okay, what if you just spent some dedicated time with the universe and that's your church time? Because God, whatever you want to call it, is everywhere. And that was a beautiful breakthrough for me. And my spiritual journey has gone from doing all the things to doing like simplicity.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I remember seeing like old Facebook posts from my memories or whatever, like pop up on my feed, and it'd be like, thank God for all these things. And I was so like in the Kool-Aid or whatever of like, praising God.
I don't think I've ever heard the expression in the Kool-Aid.
Oh, like drinking the Kool-Aid?
Oh, okay. I still don't know what you're talking about.
Anyway,
anyways.
my point is that like I wasn't really like aware. So much of my spiritual path has been finding my own voice, finding my own inner guidance, my own relationship with the higher power, which I also call the universe. And I look at it as like, this is my existence in a greater form, my higher self that I can look towards, versus this omniscient, like omnipotent figure that's a male dominated being. Like, I don't know.
Something that you just said reminded me of something that my friend that I do my grateful list with had told me. And she gave me a beautiful piece of advice. She literally sent me like a voice note, and I like sent it to myself on WhatsApp so I could always refer back to it. But like, because they've also gone through different, stages of their belief. And they said, I don't really look at God as a man. I look at God as an energy. So if you look at it from that perspective, it might help you. And I was like, that absolutely helps, because energy is all around us. Like, I feel the presence of my grandparents often. I think about my grandpa all the time. I have spirit guides. They are both two of my spirit guides. My best friend's mom is another one of my spirit guides. My husband's father, who passed away before we even got married, is one of my spirit guides. And I feel them around me like all the time. And that's just like part of the journey. Like, I remember when I started my healing journey, I didn't expect to be spiritual. I didn't believe in anything. I was at my lowest point. So I think through this journey, I was like, okay, I need something that I need to believe in. And I feel like part of my spiritual journey, like part of my spiritual practice, I should say, is it includes my gratitude in the morning, and it includes my joy. Like, spirituality is everything, because the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is everywhere.
Yeah, you're right. I totally resonate with having spirit guides. Like my aunt and godmother, I still refer to her as like my godmother, because like she wasn't just like my mom's sister. Like she was my godmother as well. Like we had that moment during my confirmation that she was my quote unquote sponsor, like what they, when they
Yeah, I have that. I have a relationship similar with my mom's best friend. She was the person that was my sponsor when I did that, when I was, still religious and all of that. And she's still alive, but I know that when she goes, she'll be one of my spirit guides.
Yeah. It's very like chilling almost to like think about it, because like this idea that we can sense and feel beings that have crossed over the path and they still look down on us, and like we can connect with them, like I think is very important. I'm curious to know if you like still believe in heaven or not, like given the
Honestly, I don't know.
I feel that
I'm at a point where I feel like there's a spiritual realm, and I believe there is a life after this life, but I don't really know if I believe in heaven anymore, because I always say all the time, I'm making heaven on earth. One of my favorite songs is called, I don't remember if this is the exact title, but it's called If Heaven Weren't So Far Away. That song reminds me of my grandpa, and that was actually one of the songs that played on the plane when I almost had my first panic attack. That reminded me that it was my grandpa saying, "Not here, not now." But yeah, no, I don't know. Like, people have asked me that all the time, and I have a friend who's super religious, and we talk all the time. And like, we used to not be able to talk about those sorts of things. And now we're at an understanding, because she's also on a healing journey.
Interesting.
Like, I have friends that have gone on a healing journey and rediscovered God. So it just depends on where you are and what you need. Like, religious trauma is real.
Yeah.
And I couldn't say God for the longest time without like cringing. Now I can say it, because I know that there is a God. I just refer to that energy, because that's exactly what it is. As the universe. I write in a journal every night saying, "Dear journal," not dear journal, dear diary, not dear diary. I'm thinking back when I was like a teenager. Dear universe. And I write out about my day, and something that my therapist suggested on my last session with her this past Friday. She's like, okay, you're already journaling about your day, adding your glimmers. I want you to journal about what brought you joy in the day. And I'm like, oh my God, I love that idea. And I've been doing it the last couple of nights, and I'm obsessed. And that's also part of my journey. I think something else that really helped me, my therapist, when I first got on this journey, that, told me I had PTSD and I had anxiety, was she introduced me to meditation. I love meditation. That's my form of prayer. And I have so many meditations on my phone. I have one where I can connect with my spirit guides. I have one where I can connect with the moon on both the full and the new moon. And I love them so much. They're by Sarah Prout, who wrote the book Dear Universe. And sure, another book too that I don't remember it off the top of my head, but Dear Universe, I used to like that's what I would do in the morning. I would spend time with the universe and read a little prayer, because how the book Dear Universe works is you basically pick an emotion that you're feeling that's negative, and you read this little, like, half a page, if that, on it. And then there's a little prayer at the bottom, and it says, Dear Universe, and it gives you like insight. And then below it, it gives you 3 positive emotions, and you pick one of those and you go and read about the positive emotion and experiences that Sarah Prout has experienced. And then you do a meditation with the positive emotion. I love it.
Wow, that's really powerful. I love that so much because it's really inspiring. I mean, that we can cultivate this relationship with the universe in our own way. I know for years, I can't even remember when I started. Must have been in like after 2017, like after college and everything, like that I found this email list that I've been getting for this many years, and it's called Notes from the Universe.
Oh, I love that.
I'll try to find it, and maybe we can link it in the description because it's free, and you just like put in a little like thing about yourself, like your name and like something you want to like see come true from the universe or something, and then they like send you just cute little messages each morning in your inbox, like 5 days a week type of thing, and then you get every once in a while, like, and by once in a while, I mean like maybe once or twice a year, you'll get that little note from the universe that's like specific to your goal or your like thing that you're trying to achieve or accomplish or manifest or whatever. And it's like, oh, hi.
I love that.
And you can always change it.
Sign me up. So I did back in 2022, both me and my husband had COVID. And I had signed up for like, I think it was like a 31 day or 21 day manifesting challenge that I did with Sarah Prout. And I then joined her manifesting academy, where you like, that's where I got most of my meditations from. And so basically it's got a whole bunch of different information in there. And I didn't know what manifesting was. For those of you who don't know, manifesting is essentially like, it's prayer. It's another word for prayer. You put out what you want and you receive it. Like, I joke all the time that I manifested my husband without even realizing that that was a thing. Like, I was like always like talking to the universe, like, all right, I want someone that my grandpa would approve of. I want someone that can be my best friend first, my lover second. I'd said that for years. And in my human design, I'm a non-specific, I think it's called, manifester. So basically, I just have to say it and it'll eventually come to me. Like, I'm not saying I can say I want $1 million and have $1 million at my doorstep tomorrow, but it's absolutely beautiful. And I've manifested a lot of different things. And you can manifest things that you don't want because the universe has a sense of humor.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's another thing too, is that there's always lessons to learn from the universe. There's always things that we can unlearn and relearn and
absolutely
go forward. Yeah, because they're just so many things that like that really hit home. I mean, like, part of me going on this spiritual path, I think I've always been somebody who had this relationship with a higher power, and then it manifested as like I think at the core of myself, I've always known like who I am.
Yeah.
Versus like needing the approval from, the church or my parents or whatever. Like, I've always known. So it's always been the journey of coming back home to myself.
Yes.
The version of me who knew that she was enough and worthy and loved and, is special and beautiful in her own way, and that her body is just the way it is and it's fine and everything's great, But you don't need to like change or look a certain way or be or act or do something. Like, that's been my constant life mission. And that's where I feel like, even in the idea of like having kids one day, or me deciding ultimately that that's probably not for me and my husband, like what we want to do, is like then going forward and being like, this is the journey of my life path. Like the generations from before me like have worked on loving themselves and healing anxiety and depression, and like I'm breaking the cycle, like.
That's why that's not even, I started the journey originally to heal myself. And then as I got further along, I am doing it not only for myself, I'm doing it for my inner selves and to break the cycle if we ever decide to have children. But like, it's interesting that you say that because like the idea of marriage in the church is you get married and you have kids. It's the same concept in society.
Yeah.
And no, you do what you want to do. You don't want to have kids, you don't have kids. If you want your cats to be your kids, your cats are your kids. Like, or literally earlier today, my husband's actually home. He actually worked early tonight. And I said to him, you need to feed your daughter. You like never feed her because you're not home when she needs to be fed. And so he fed her and I was like, good job. You fed your daughter. And like, I mean, it's the concept of family is what you make of it. We've talked about this before and we'll talk about it again. Like,
Yes.
it's all over the place. Like when I began my practice, it was like all the crystals, charge them all, do everything on the full moon, do everything on the new moon. And now my ritual, which by the way, I want to mention this before I forget, I have been obsessed with the moon since I can remember. I remember looking out the window in the backseat of the car when I was like 5 or 6 and being like, oh, look, the moon. And I still did do this to this day. It's so beautiful. I've always felt some sort of weird connection with it. And now that I'm older, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's a thing. I'm wearing my moon necklace if anyone's watching.
I bought my best
video.
friend a necklace that's got, I think it's got all the phases of the moon. I'm not 100% sure. She was actually here this past weekend, but me and her talked this past January, and she had opened up to me that she also does a spiritual practice, but like she's more private about it, and that's perfectly fine. Like my spiritual practice has gotten to the point where I am also private about it. Like and I don't do it that often. I have a moon journal. I will look up the meaning like of the name of the moon. I will then journal about what that means to me, and it can change from year to year. And then I will look up the actual meaning, and 9 times out of 10, it's like, yeah, that's exactly what it means. And it's like, you feel like a weird connection to the universe. Like one of my favorite things to do is just to ground myself, which is just literally standing in the grass with no shoes on. I love doing that. But we were talking and she told me about her practice, and she listens to this podcast that's called Demystify Magic. And actually, that podcast is the reason why I reached out to you to start this podcast. It's 2 best friends that literally she was like, I'll do it if you do it with me because I'm a responder. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a responder. I need someone to do a podcast with. And that's when I reached out to you. But even before I found that podcast, I had other things that I would use. Like my husband is also spiritual, and he recommended the book, if I pronounce this wrong, I apologize. The Shamanic Witch by Gail Wood, which basically is spiritual practices rooted in the earth and other realms. So essentially, like and it even says in the beginning, you take what you want or what you can, or like what resonates with you out of the book. That's another reason why I love spirituality. And then my friend that I do the Grateful List with suggested this book called Spiral Dance. It's called A Rebirth of the Ancient Religion of the Great Goddess. I have the 20th edition. I don't see who it's by, but have you ever heard of the Wheel of the Year?
The Wheel of the Year, no.
So basically it starts around, I want to say, I have the book right here, I can look. It starts around, I want to say Halloween. I think that's the first one. And then it goes through like all the different seasons. And I think I found this in the first book I mentioned. Spirituality was the first religion. Like, I know that, you know, some people might say, oh, no, it was this or no, it was that. But like before there was organized religion, it was just, it was spirituality, believing in a higher power and just, you know, embracing and being present and praying, manifesting, whatever you want to call it. And yeah.
Yeah, that's really powerful and special. I I think even just about like prayer, like the prayer hands, you know, like I find myself doing this not because of any organized religion or whatever. Like when someone, you know, thank you, I say, you know, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Like I do that because of like being in Bali. And to me, when I did my retreat to Bali in 2023 in the summer, I felt like that was the spiritual center of the world for me personally. I don't know if that's true for others or if that's even like Googleable. Um, but for me, it felt like the spiritual center of the world because it's like that's where it originated, in my opinion, where it's like these practices of just like listening to your body, like listening to nature, like they do these beautiful offerings where like they create these little flower arrangements with or like they use palm fronds and then make these baskets that are small, and they like I literally made them in one of our days of the retreat, and we made, you know, we put flowers in there and then like had this really special experience where like even that in and of itself was spiritual because like I remember feeling like, oh my God, I can't do this. Like this is really hard for me. And then eventually, you know, the retreat coordinator, like she helped us and like helped me. And like I made this beautiful offering basket and like put flowers in it and arranged it so special. And then your whole thing is like they're all over the streets of Bali, like just putting them outside people's doorsteps, and it's to
Oh,
basically have the spirits, the
yeah.
spirits come through and like give them good omens and things and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
like that's really beautiful and amazing, because it was just I don't know, they did this, you know, the prayer hands and like
Yeah.
out and like, and so I
Like,
find myself doing that since that experience.
like for me, when I'm praying, it depends because a lot of people don't realize that meditation is more than just sitting there with your legs crossed and, you know, crossing your hands and sitting. That's, you can do that. That's a form of meditation. But like when I'm building my Legos and I'm in the zone, that's meditation. When you're folding the laundry, when you're deep in a conversation and you're completely present, when you're doing the dishes,
Mm.
that can all be a form of meditation. A lot of people don't see it that way, and that's okay because meditation is just like spirituality, to each their own. Like it doesn't have to be where you go like that's like traditional meditation, but there's like forms of meditation that you don't realize you're actually meditating. Like I have a friend who says they can't meditate, and I'm like, you've done it before. I've seen you
Mm.
when you are lost drawing, when you are lost in, you can be meditating when you're lost in a video game. Like it just depends. And like, yes, some are more meaningful than others. Like I don't consider myself when I'm building my Lego that I'm spending time with the universe, but like it is a form of meditation.
Yeah, it's whenever you're fully present
Yeah.
with whatever's going on around you. I think that's the perfect way to explain it and describe it because like it's so powerful to just be like in the zone, like when nothing else is distracting you, when nothing else comes through. Like I find that to be when I have like divine source, God, universe energy like coming through me, like when I get those downloads. And that's only when I'm personally very connected to the universe and connected to what's going on in my world and in my existence. Like even sometimes when I'm on the podcast or like recording a video or something, like I get in my head and I'm like immediately like, oh my God, like I don't know what I'm saying. And then I pause and then there's like awkwardness. And like the truth is we're human And what a beautiful thing it is to be human, because we get to have this amazing experience with the universe.
Yeah, exactly. I full-heartedly agree with you. Like for me, when it comes to like, I think right now, us recording this, not even just because this is a spiritual episode, every time we're recording, I feel like it says I'm present. You're focused on me, I'm focused on you, and we're having these beautiful conversations that are authentic. And full disclosure, like we sometimes make notes of points we want to make, but for the most part, we're just hitting play and talking to each other. It gets, all things mental is as authentic as it can get.
Yeah, that's the beautiful part about this connection that we have, and then that we have with you, the listener, like those of us holding space for this moment together. Like it's amazing that we can have this moment in time, because we can look back on it and be like, wow, like this was a version of me that I hold space for. Like I personally try to not have regrets in life, because I acknowledge that we are just a soul in a body, and we're here for a life experience, good, bad, or otherwise. Like our spirit, like I don't know, I'm very
I know what you're trying to say. Like I remember I used to have regrets, but now looking back on it and all the healing I've done, I don't really have any. Like something that I was taught was the practice of I forgive you, I'm sorry, thank you, and I love you. I don't remember if that's the exact order, but it's a tradition. Yes. And
that's the one.
Yeah, and I have forgiven the girl who essayed me. I have forgiven that same girl as the one that catfished me. I have forgiven my brother. I have forgiven my father. I have forgiven like random people throughout my life that like just like annoyed me. And something that I try my best to do, like when I'm sitting in traffic, and I hit a lot of traffic. I live like in a like touristy area, is if I get annoyed, most of the time I realize it and I send the person love. Instead of being annoyed and being like, why'd you do that? What was that? Why'd you cut me off? Like I might say that and then I'm like, okay, breathe, and I take a couple breaths and I send them love. Because like if you're driving in the car and you're in a good mood and then you happen to pass a car that's not in a good mood, you can get that energy. Like something that I'll never forget is when me and my husband got back together, I remember telling him, I'm always so calm when I'm around you. And like I expected him to be like, aw, thanks. That's so sweet of you to say. Which he did, but in his own way. He was like, aw, thanks, I get that a lot. And I was just like, okay, great. But like he really does. Like people have even said to him that like it's just really weird how calm I feel around you. And he's a Taurus, so like he's like an earth sign. So I think that makes sense. Like he makes a joke all the time that he would never survive living in space because his feet need to be planted on soil. So yeah, but like he's part of the reason why I began my spiritual journey as well. And my parents will be like, oh, like he's the reason why you didn't want to get married. He's the reason why you didn't want to do this. I'm like, we did get married. We just did it in our own way. And we compromised. But something else too is that I do readings, like card readings, like I pull cards. And on the full moon, I have him do a reading where he like will pull, I think like 6 or 7 cards, and it's basically like a reading that basically explains how you're feeling right now, and then it goes through like relationships, money, like the future and all that. And like people are like very like, oh my goodness, readings are like creepy and scary. You only get them when you're in New Orleans. And I don't want to pay someone to do my readings. I have my husband do my readings. He does one for me every full moon, and then I do a reading for myself on the new moon. And something else that I sometimes do, if I'm feeling led to, I'll pull a card in the morning to see how my day is going to be, because you can ask it a yes or no question, or you can ask it a question. Usually my question is, how will my day be? But I've actually fallen out of this practice, so I'm actually kind of inspired by our own episode to get back into not necessarily doing that, but like using both that and the Dear Universe book I mentioned earlier. And if I'm having like a negative emotion, like feeling into it to process it and move forward.
Yeah, that's really powerful, because something that I think about a lot, and it probably too often, is that like we are our own person, but we are the only ones that can see out of our own eyes. Like that may be meta or whatever you want to call it, but like it's like it's this thing that I think about all the time, that like something greater than us put us in this body to have these roles and these cellulites and these whatever. Yeah. And our hair.
Parents who were given everything down to like I have a complicated relationship with my parents, but I wouldn't change my parents. I wouldn't change the situationship I went through, because everything I have been through has led me to where I am today.
Yes, I agree. It's all divine timing. It's all how it's supposed to be. Like something kept us here and saved us in our darkest night of the soul, and there's more life to experience, you know? Like I love the fact that in my own journey of turning 30, I had my own, you know, we've talked about this too, you and I, about how 30 was like this, oh my God moment of like just realizing we're alive and we're still here, and you know, and then the years after that just feel, or the time after that just feel like bonus time. And that's not just our, you know, we're not the only ones that experience that. Like I posted on TikTok and I talked to many people about just how like, you know, they were like, oh, I was 18 and I didn't think I would make it this far. I'm now 42. And it's like, whoa, like how does that happen? Like, and that is a spiritual journey in and of itself.
Oh, absolutely. Like I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't think we talked about it on the podcast, but I did not think I would live past 30. So when I turned 31 in a day, I had to take a mental health day from work because my brain could not fathom the fact that I was still alive. And I'm so grateful that I'm still here, because we've talked about this before. Like, I love the life that I'm living. Like, my goal this year was to have joy, gratitude, movement. And I still do all three every day. I'm the kind of person now that I get my steps in. Like, I never thought I would be that person, but I'm getting my steps in every single day. I move my body in many different ways. Like I've talked about this on the first podcast episode. I do strength, I do Pilates, I do HIIT, and that in itself is spiritual. When I first started the working out journey, I was like, I had all this energy and I didn't know what to do with it. So my husband suggested that I look for like something on YouTube. And I was like, no, that won't work. And of course it worked. And I found this really awesome girl.
That's when they're right.
I know, it's so annoying. He's not here right now. So. But like, I worked out at first for my mental health, and I still do. There'll be days where sometimes I'm in a really weird mood, and before I do anything else, I drink water and I work out. And 9 times out of 10, I feel better. And if I don't feel better, I then journal. And then if I don't feel better, I then usually will call one of my best friends or message my husband. Like the other night, I got into a really weird mood. I had texted you about this, where like I was mindlessly scrolling on YouTube on the TV, not even on my phone. So that's why I was so annoyed with myself. And I messaged my husband, who was heading home from work, and was like, are you going to be home soon? Because I need snuggles, because I'm in a weird mood. And he came home, he snuggled me, and we talked about it. And he was like, when was the last time you were actually in a weird mood? When was the last time you actually doom scroll? I'm like, it's been a while. I'm like, okay, so why are you being so hard on yourself? I was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. because there are so many ways that we can be disconnected from the universe and disconnected from self. And I used to feel a lot like that during like Mercury retrograde or something.
I never thought
And
Mercury retrograde was a thing until I started experiencing things, and I was like, oh my God. And I get into fights with friends all the time that like, they're like, oh, the full moon doesn't change the energy. Huh, try being a teacher and then the energy of the children is 100% different because kids feel energy.
yeah. And they just don't know like what's going on because they're kids and they're just figuring out the world still.
I mean,
Like,
to cut you off. So you said Mercury retrograde. What were you saying about that? I
oh
apologize.
yeah,
Tangents.
no, you're good, you're good. It's just the idea that like when the planets like, or I don't know exactly what is going on planetarily, but like I know like in myself I would feel like really off
Yeah.
for those 3 weeks or so that they last. And now that I've been on my own spiritual path and that I've been healing my relationship with myself and, my anxiety and depression and like suicidal thoughts, like all that stuff is like no longer a big part of my day to day. I can say that like when something happens like with the full moon or with the new moon or with the Mercury retrograde or like other things like that, like I don't get as thrown because my equilibrium is so intact, because I feel like now, like you were saying before, like when, with being 30 and like these bonus years and like all this stuff that we've been experiencing, that is what I call living a life worth living. And that's where I feel like I've created that now for myself. And I encourage others like far and wide to do the same. Like I define like what living a life worth living means to be this like spiritual unfolding of yourself where like you are just so in the present. You are so in yourself, like who you are, like you're not thrown by so many things. Like today I dealt with something annoying at work and I was like, I'm not gonna this is not gonna throw me, like I'm gonna be level.
Yeah, you're not going to put energy into it. Like I'm a teacher. I had a student that was not listening, and when I went to speak to them, they were not responding. They were just looking at me annoyed, and I'm like, okay, I'm not dealing with this. If you're not going to talk to me, I'm not going to put energy into you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
you gotta pick and choose. Like think of your energy as expensive. Not everyone can afford it. Taylor Swift said that on her husband's or soon to be husband's podcast. And I was like, oh my God, she's right. Like think of your energy as expensive. Not everybody can afford it.
That's so true. So good. Oh my gosh. I feel like we could continue talking about this forever.
Absolutely could, but I think we should end it. But I do want to say, if this episode resonated with you, if any of our episodes resonate with you, like, or you have a friend that doesn't understand spirituality, or you have a friend that is like religious but like questioning things or whatever, have them listen to this episode. Maybe it'll help them. Maybe it'll give them some insight. In our description, we're going to have all the notes from this episode. Like we'll list out all the books that we mentioned, links to them and all that fun stuff. And maybe it can help you. Like we're not telling you leave your church. We're telling you to, if you're questioning things, explore.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think for me personally, like I love this idea where we can come back to ourselves and what we want out of life, not need to follow such a rigid structure, that we can just be ever flowing.
Yeah, routine is awesome, but I also like to just go with the flow. Like it depends on the day, it depends on the situation, but like I used to say, oh, I'm very much go with the flow. And I used to feel that way. And now I actually, for the most part, am that way.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you so much for listening. And yes, please do share this episode with a friend that you feel like would benefit from hearing this conversation. This is our 4th episode. Yay!
And this is our 4th episode, which is crazy.
I know. It's so great to be speaking with you, Michelle, and to share this moment in time together. And I love it. So yeah, follow us for more.
Yeah. So be it. So it is. That's what I say at the end of my journal entries. That's something that Sarah Prout says. I don't remember where. I think she was at the end of her meditations. That's my new version of amen. So be it. So it is. I actually have it tattooed on me with the tree of life. And it says, so be it. So it is.
I love that so much. Oh, yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, good stuff. Thanks, Michelle, and we'll talk again soon.
Of course.
Bye for now. Thank you for listening to this episode of All Things Mental.
Please follow us on social media at All Things Mental Podcast to let us know how this episode helped you on your healing journey.
Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts so that you don't miss an episode.
And remember,
you are not broken.
You're just becoming a more beautiful version
of your higher self.